was driving to work this morning, I was listening to another radio station, as we broadcasters sometimes do. What I heard shocked and saddened me.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They're here, nerds.
Wait, is this the group that goes around mutilating squirrels?
You just mind your P's and Q's, Buster, and remember who you're dealing with.
Well, at least we found them.
Fortuitous, Captain. And now that we have them all together,
you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They make one person go, blah, 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 and the other person go, what are you talking about? And then one person goes, blah, 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 blah.
I felt like that for the past month. Well, at least for the past week. Good grief, what a week. Jeff, you and I, we've seen sides of each other that we probably never should have.
I feel like Rutger Hauer at the end of Blade Runner.
Yeah. I've seen Jeff in the early morning hours.
I've seen poker played, the radio station. People conning other people, saying they never played before. How do you keep getting flushes then? If you
Tuesday night, during the snowstorm, and I'm going to bring Ryan on the phone right now. Ryan, good morning to you on this Saturday morning.
Well, good morning to you too, Steve. Hello, everyone. Glad to be here. Let's have another electrifying roundtable, and we got a big topic to talk about today.
We're going to be getting to that here shortly. David in the studio with us. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And we were all dealing with all the snowstorm. You had to pull a 24-hour shift at your particular place of work earlier this week.
I did, and as soon as I got home, I crashed faster than Paul Walker, buddy.
Wow.
Too soon.
Wow. Jeff and I spent the night up here Tuesday night. Jeff, you remained up here Wednesday night. I escaped and was able to make it home and was actually able to make it back. And then you were able to get home on Thursday. But, yeah, we've gotten more familiar with most of the staff here at the radio station than I think we ever thought we would be.
Yes, sir. Team Snowpocalypse, kicking up the funk and sleeping where they fall.
There you go. But we made it through, and here we are into the weekend, and it should be a fairly nice Saturday. Tomorrow looks like some rain. Weather forecast coming up later. As far as movies are concerned, did anybody go and check out a movie last weekend?
Nope.
No? Ryan, no? David?
I saw How to Lose a Digit really quickly. Frostbite.
That was a documentary you caught on YouTube, wasn't it?
No. Well, the opening had the guy, the trailer voice and everything. It was like, Frostbite.
Where did you see this?
I slept for 17 hours. I dreamed something, man.
Actually, he may have a documentary in mind. This might be something we want to produce.
In a world.
Yeah.
In a world. Anyway, I thought there was a possibility, but scheduling just didn't work out. My neighbor and I, he was out doing other activities, so we never got the opportunity, and I'm okay with that, to not go see I, Frankenstein.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Saved yourself a massive headache.
Pretty much. All right, so here we go. We start off with your top 10 movies of the weekend here. And real quick, you can follow along with us, Facebook page, facebook.com/whatever with Steve West. We still have the Twitter feed up at 101 Roundtable. We'll be working on that here as soon as we can. And do want to pass along before we go much further is that different industries have different charities that they deal with. And you hear a lot about like Children's Miracle Network, things like that. Apparently, the one time that all the different movie theater chains all get together is when they get together for Variety, the children's charity. And this is kind of a cool deal. Ask your local movie theater. Our friends down at Amstar and Alabaster are doing this. And if you give a specific amount of money, and it's not all that much, you get to walk away with some pretty cool movie paraphernalia. This year it's very Star Wars oriented, so you get a pin from either that represents either Yoda or Darth Vader. Ask your local movie theater chain if you don't find yourself near an Amstar, or you don't find yourself near our friends down at Amstar and Alabaster. Ask your local movie theater about it and see if they are involved in this very, very worthy charity here in the early part of the year. In at number 10, Devil's Due. $2.7 million. It made $12.9 overall. I don't know a whole lot about this film. I kind of vaguely remember us talking about it a few weeks ago. Can somebody remind me what this thing is about?
First-person shaky cam, Rosemary's Baby for a New Generation.
Gotcha. Okay. That's why I don't want to watch it.
I love you, Jeff. I just love you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, really. The award season favorite, which doesn't really seem to be gaining a whole lot of ground yet, but if this thing wins an Oscar, I bet you it does get something of a boost. August Osage County made another $5 million over the weekend, but it's only $26.5 million.
Our buddy Jim Moore went and saw that this
Did he
past
really?
weekend. Yeah.
Was he dragged there by his woman, or
his
was
wife
this his
and
idea?
His daughter, granddaughter, somebody's birthday.
Okay, so he was dragged to it.
Yeah.
And?
Didn't think very highly of it. Let's just say, not exactly his cup of.
Okay, let's go with this. You having heard Jim Moore's comments,
yes,
try and translate Jim Moore's comments into our scale of a 1 to 10. Keeping in mind that Jim is like a guy.
Wow.
A guy.
At 3 at best, and that's pushing the limits.
Mm.
He did not enjoy it.
All right, then. Wolf of Wall Street up there, $5.4 million, 98.5. American Hustle, $7 million, $127 million. I read a story here, I think it was just yesterday. Apparently, our girl Jennifer Lawrence has a love for junk food, specifically Doritos. And the dress that she was well known for wearing in there, this kind of white thing that looks like it was stretchy material throughout some of the film, apparently they had to get like 3 or 4 of them because she would keep eating Doritos when they were on break, and she would get some of the Dorito powder on the dress and it would kind of ruin it, so they'd have to take it off and wash it and give her another one, so they had like 3 or 4 of them made.
God, I just love her.
That's amazing.
She's a real woman. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta like that. Then the film that I thought I might go to see and didn't. I, Frankenstein, debuts to $8.6 million. Which,
wow.
It's not a bad number in and of itself. 8.6 million is not bad, but when you consider that there are 6 films in front of it that all made more money this weekend, it's kind of telling me that this thing's not going to be around for very long. Have you read any reviews on this? Do we know a Rotten Tomatoes rating on this or anything, Ryan?
Not really sure. I believe they said it wasn't screened for critics because they were afraid of what the tomato meter might say.
That's never a good sign.
And also, I think this film was made on a $60 million budget.
Wow, that much? Yeah, I guess, because there's a pretty good amount of special effects just from what we saw in the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
So,
so I don't think it's going to make back its bank anytime soon.
It doesn't really appear so. But then again, this may be one of those films that gains a cult following on when it comes out on DVD.
I'm always so confused because I know a flop idea when I hear a flop idea.
Yeah.
Do the executives just not get it? Do they?
I guess not.
Probably not.
I just, wow, that's awful.
And I like Aaron Eckhart, but I don't know as Aaron Eckhart is enough of a name to really pull people in and overcome what to me is kind of a weak plot.
Yeah, absolutely he isn't.
So, there you go. All right, let's see. Up to the top 5, Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit, $9 million, 30.5. Again, watched this last week. Good film, not great. I gave it I think I finally settled on a 6.75. I couldn't quite give it a 7, but I didn't want to drop it so low as a 6.5. It's good. But it's kind of rote action film. There wasn't anything that really separated this out and made this Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan as we know him if you're a fan of the series. The movie that just will not stop. Frozen, $9.1 million, 347.9. And Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, this is now the most successful box office-wise Disney film of all time?
Oh, I don't remember reading anything about that. I know it's up there with some of the other big heavy hitter Disney films that have come out over the last several years, but if it is number 1, hey, more power to them, but Aladdin and the Lion King should be number 1.
But you think about this, though. We're talking, Aladdin was what, 20-some-odd years ago? Lion King, which I think might have been the previous record holder, is the better part of 20 years ago, and you think about the difference in the amount that it cost for a movie ticket back then versus what it costs now.
Yeah, that's true.
So it would be interesting to see. Now, granted, money is money, and overall, while we're not necessarily looking at it adjusted for today's dollars, it would be interesting to see the adjusted for today's dollars of the totals for an Aladdin and a Lion King versus a Frozen. But I think I read earlier that this is, and we're not talking Pixar films, we're just talking about Disney animated films. I think this is now the most successful or most money-making one. Then you got the other animated film, The Nut Job. Seems to be doing pretty well. 12.1 million, 40.1. Has anybody heard anything, seen this, anything? Because, it seems to be doing well, but then again, it's a family film versus a whole lot of other films that, let's face it, other than Frozen, they're not really all that family-oriented.
Right. Everybody's seen Frozen a couple of times already, apparently. So.
Yeah. So, do we know anything about this, Ryan?
Nothing but crickets.
Okay, then. Lone Survivor just keeps moving right along. My next-door neighbor said that he has seen this. He really enjoyed it. It stuck very close to the book, 12.9 million, 93.9. And up at number 1, week number 2, $21.2 million for Ride Along. It has made $75.5 million so far, and it looks to be a major success. And, of course, if we're talking about a major success, I would expect we'll see a Ride Along 2 sometime here in the next year or so.
Probably so.
Because we just can't seem to get away from our successful films being made into franchises.
They can't heps it, Steve. They can't heps it.
It's Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Hollywood. We have no really original idea. I mean, with all due respect, Ride Along isn't really all that original of an idea, but it's gained an audience.
It's what the audience is begging for, because people don't go see movies that they don't know anymore. They want trademark names. They want to know what they're stepping into before they see it. They want to know what happened to characters that they saw and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, apparently so.
They want franchises.
But that said, we got a couple of films coming out this weekend. While we may have seen some of the basics, the skeleton of it, we'll see if any of these, either of these, apparently they're both kind of romantic films, one more comedic than the other. We'll start with a more dramatic one. Labor Day, Kate Winslet, Josh Brolin, Tobey Maguire, and others. Film about a convict who has escaped from jail. Takes a single mom and her 13-year-old son hostage until feelings come into play and then emotions take over while trying to remain free. The idea behind the film actually interests me. I'm just not so sure I'm going to pull the trigger on watching this.
More of a Lifetime movie.
Well, yeah, possibly.
And it got a 34% rating on Rotten Tomato.
Wow, did it?
Not very pretty for that one.
So the premise is good, but maybe they didn't quite deliver on it, huh?
Pretty much so, yes.
Gotcha. And then you got the other one, stars Zac Efron and Michael B. Jordan. It's called That Awkward Moment. It's about 3 best friends who are all in the same place in their relationships. They want to decide whether to take the next step. It's amazing how these 3 best friends, who have been best friends for apparently a very long time, all find themselves in exactly the same spot with all of their relationships at the exact same time. That's Hollywood for you.
Yeah, I mean, I might see it if I get bored shoving a pencil through my eye.
Although it would be funny, though, if the title referred to that awkward moment when they realized we're all dating the same girl.
Yeah.
Oh. There it is. Out in limited release. If you're interested, you might have to do some digging around to try and find them. None of these star anybody of any note. Best Night Ever. There's a film called Tim's Vermeer and a movie called Peter Brock, The Tightrope. Next weekend actually looks to be something that might be kind of fun because you have another animated film coming out next week called The Lego Movie.
I'm so down for that.
Oh, I am so pumped for The Lego Movie.
I think we're all looking forward to this. And then you've got the George Clooney, Matt Damon film with John Goodman and Bill Murray and several others, The Monuments Men. This was a film that was originally supposed to come out late last year, correct, Ryan?
Yes, sir.
But got pushed back into this year. I do want to see this. And then
Me too.
Vampire Academy, correct me if I'm wrong, this is kind of like Scary Movie's version for Scream.
In some way, shape, or form. Plus, it's based off a book of the same name, but we all know it's going to fail. And by the way, the Lego Movie, I'm in. I can't wait to see it.
Okay, so Vampire Academy is actually taking this seriously? I kind of thought this was like a real bad spoof of vampire films.
No, it probably. Well, it could be. I mean, from the trailers, yeah, it looks more like a silly, dumb kind of thing. But it is based off a book.
You know, I heard the word vampire, and then I just tuned out. Yeah,
exactly. Well, Ryan, you kind of alluded to it at the top of the show. We've got some big movie news coming up and a whole lot of movie news as well. You know what? We're going to save the big news until the very end. Stick around. The Entertainment Roundtable rolls on after this.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, the Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
As we usually do when we are here in the Entertainment Roundtable, especially on our Saturdays, as opposed to, say, last week when we were on Friday, we come back from our first commercial break, and we play a song that is off of the soundtrack of a movie that is either out or set to come out. I'm in the mood for love. You will hear this if you go see the film Labor Day. There you go. All right, well, that said, let's get away from the whole love story thing. And first up, Ryan, we're coming to you with the directorial debut of an actress. There is going to be a Pitch Perfect 2. I haven't seen Pitch Perfect 1. Remind me what the plot was.
Pitch Perfect was a comedic film about a group of girls, part of a glee club, go into a competition, try to become the best glee club, best singers that ever lived kind of thing.
So we get to revisit that. It was kind of a surprise, for me anyway, it was kind of a surprise hit in 2013. So who is going to make their directorial debut in the sequel?
Well, that would be Effie Trinket from The Hunger Games herself, Elizabeth Banks. She had a small part in the first film as well as help producing the film. She's going to make their directorial debut with this particular sequel. No official word on which cast members are going to return, but they are going to try and get Anna Kendrick, Rebel Wilson, and Skylar Astin to return.
Anybody see that film?
I've never seen it.
No.
You know me, I'm a big fan of female Glee Club films.
I can tell. You were the one person who cried so much when Fox canceled Glee.
That's just made up. You're just making stuff up now.
Yes, I know I am.
What, does he look like Joss Whedon to you over here?
Yeah, really. Yeah, okay.
That is his
kind of
favorite
get an
show
idea
now, I
of
guess.
exactly where we all stand when it comes to this. We're kind of like, okay, it's Elizabeth Banks. We still don't care. All right, let's go with this. First of all, I'm going to ask the question because Tom Cruise going futuristic for year number 2. Second year in a row. This time he is teaming up with Emily Blunt. It's a film called Edge of Tomorrow. Jeff, have you seen the trailer? Yes or no?
Oh, you mean the movie formerly known as All You Need Is Kill? And they change it to Edge of Tomorrow.
Which sounds like a really bad soap opera all of a sudden.
Yes, I have seen
You
the
have
trailer.
seen the trailer. Have you seen the trailer, David?
I have not.
You have not seen the trailer, so you're out of this conversation. Ryan, have you seen the trailer?
That's mean.
Yes, sir. I have seen the trailer.
All right. Well, Ryan, we'll start with you. Your thoughts on Edge of Tomorrow?
I like it. I think the premise is, it's got a mixture of other films we may have seen in the past, but it seems good enough. It's kind of a Groundhog Day type of ordeal with Tom Cruise, a soldier fighting in a war with aliens. He finds himself caught in a time loop of his last day in the battle, though he becomes better skilled along the way. And plus, when you got Emily Blunt in any kind of film, you know you got a winner right there. And it's going to open up in IMAX and theaters everywhere on June 6th of this year, so I'm in.
Okay. Well, David, I'll ask this now that you've heard kind of you probably have read something of this film.
Sure.
Even though you haven't seen the trailer, your
Right.
thoughts on the film?
Well, there's a reason I haven't seen the
interest?
trailer, because it sounds boring.
Okay, so you're not really all that excited about this.
No, I'm not.
I'm kind of looking at it, and I find the premise interesting, but then, Ryan's reference to Groundhog Day very appropriate, considering that's tomorrow. But this does seem like a serious version of Groundhog Day. I like the premise. I'm just curious about the actual execution of it. Might go check it out, but then again, I thought I might go check out his movie from last year, Oblivion. Still haven't seen it.
Huh.
Yeah, I haven't seen Oblivion yet.
But you saw it, didn't you?
I
Jeff?
did.
Okay, and you thought what about Oblivion? You thought it was okay?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's sort of middle of the road. I love that between Oblivion and Jack Reacher and what looks like Edge of Tomorrow will be.
Yeah.
I love that Tom Cruise is sort of in this, you know what, I'm going to recreate sci-fi and action movies from the 80s. Nothing too serious or redefining of the genre, just solid little movie,
Yeah.
So yeah,
We'll just make
it'll
them
have
worse
it'll
than
have
they
kind
were.
of a built-in audience. You don't really have to work all that hard and go and try and enjoy yourself for 90 minutes to 2 hours.
exactly.
That's what you're thinking of this? This kind of
This one-
looks like one of those films?
This one looks pretty cool. Plus, I like Doug Liman, the director. He did the First Born movie and Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Okay.
And so I think it looks like it's going to have some interesting, at least visuals and ideas in there. So why not? I'm in.
I'll probably check it out, but I don't know as I'm necessarily going to think that it's going to be one of the best films of the year.
Nah.
But, for a fun ride for a couple of hours.
I mean, how do you go from All You Need Is Kill to Edge of Tomorrow? That's my question. How do you do
I
that?
know, weird, right?
I know, right?
Maybe they just felt like that title was a little bit too controversial.
Yeah, it was.
Or
it was.
dumb.
According to the article I read a long time ago, I think it was that, and plus they didn't want to make it seem like it's going to be so violent that it's gory.
It's a war film.
I know, right? It's weird.
I kind of think war film, death, kind of go together.
Death and destruction, you mean?
They couldn't come up with a better title than All You Need Is Kill. I mean, it's a
We
terrible
came up with Edge
title.
of Tomorrow, which is
I know.
worse.
It's bad, too, in a completely different way. That sounds like something that, Sissy Spacek and Jack Nicholson would be in or something. Edge of Tomorrow.
I actually think that All You Need Is Kill is the name of, I think it's a manga that it's based on.
See, that was what I was about to ask. Is this based upon a book? It's based upon a...
I believe it's based upon a comic, Japanese comic, I do believe.
Okay.
Oh, really? Like a graphic novel type thing?
Graphic novel?
Right.
Not really comic book,
No.
but graphic novel more. Because, this is...
Well, graphic novel is what people who are ashamed to call things comic books, call comic books.
Well, I call it a graphic novel because I think this is probably a longer story
Yeah, it was
arc than
longer.
what you would just normally see out of a comic book, which kind of just takes a long-running storyline and cuts it up into several different
See, if it's a graphic
episodes,
novel,
so to
it's a
speak.
graphic novel. If it's a bunch of smaller comics, like republished in a thicker volume, it's a trade paperback.
Correct.
So
Well, Akira was a comic book, and they collected it.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well, that's a trade paperback. It's not a graphic novel, is it?
Well, people will refer to it as that.
Well, that's because they're fools.
Ah, see, sudden education on what's the difference between a comic book and a graphic novel.
There
These
you
are the
go.
things you get on the Entertainment Roundtable.
We don't need Josh for controversy on the show.
No.
We can bring it up all by ourselves. And Ryan, you were here to see it. Congratulations. Another sci-fi film from last year. God, we saw this thing. Vin Diesel's Riddick.
Mm-hmm.
David, you've been hearing about the possibility of yet another movie in this franchise. Are you kidding me?
Okay. The movie made $38 million. Oh no, it made $100 million, just under $100 million, and the budget was $38.
How?
On board every minute.
Okay, Universal called Vin Diesel and told him that Riddick is number 1 in the DVD charts.
How?
And they want to develop
How?
another one. Because of the Riddick fans. I mean, apparently, like I said before, a few weeks ago, apparently this director's cut actually makes the movie from bad to mediocre. As mediocre as the previous 2 films.
That's something to look forward to.
So,
Wow, that sort of tempts me, but I don't want to know if I want to take the chance.
right?
If I could borrow it,
I
maybe.
still haven't watched it because I'm like, I don't know.
And what was actually kind of half decent for the first 30 or so minutes of the film?
Yeah, when it was Vin Diesel and a space dog having adventures and stuff.
I know.
I was in it.
And playing a little bit of Enemy Mine. I saw a little bit of that in it. And then all of a sudden, he got through that weird little sea monster or whatever you want to call it, for lack of a better term. And then all of a sudden, the whole thing just
Yep, you added people and dialogue.
fell out.
Or words.
Yeah, well, you know.
A lot of words spoken.
Well,
Yeah.
hey, Pitch Black was kind of awful, you know? They did the same thing with, like, the cursing and it didn't make any sense. It was like a 13-year-old wrote it. It really was. But,
Welcome to Riddick.
yeah, well, I mean, that's Pitch Black, too. I mean, I'm just saying it. Just
And
keeping
really,
up
it's
with
like that 13-year-old fell down and had some massive head trauma. It hasn't quite been the same since.
We still watch J.J. Abrams movies.
Hey, that's because they're good movies. Watch your mouth.
Actually, some of those are actually pretty good. And that actually makes for a very nice transition for us here. The biggest sci-fi franchise there is, David, Star Wars, pretty much. We know about J.J. Abrams. We know about his role. We talked about it last week. He said this. The script for Episode 7 is done. Now David Abrams apparently, seems to be willing to help out some fans who kind of want to know where the new film is going. But I'm not so certain that he's being as open as we think or hope he is.
Well, he's so secretive about everything. So he was talking about his secretive policies, and he said, we were trying to preserve for Star Trek Into Darkness, we were trying to preserve the unexpected for the audience, but it came across as if we were trying to be too clever. In regards to the Cumberbatch Khan reveal in Into Darkness, Star Wars is in every way a different animal. It's always been a more open, fan-engaged universe that I've been used to. So I'm sure there'll be some sort of a compromise. So he's talking about being a little more open.
Well, so far the only thing that we know that's confirmed, Mark Hamill said it, was that R2-D2 is going to be in the film. Otherwise, we don't know anything.
Yeah,
except that J.J. Abrams is writing and apparently directing.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah.
How much more do we want to know? I guess that's the question. Is this a film that you want to know the plot of, or what do you want to know, David?
This is not even a film I want to see.
Really?
Yeah. I'll see it because I've seen all the others.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not terribly interested in it.
This guy's not interested in anything. Jeff.
Sure I am.
Up to you. If you were to sit down and you were to talk to J.J. Abrams, how open do you want him to be before you have the chance to go see this in the movie theater?
J.J., will it be good? Tell me.
He will say yes.
Will it be better than the last 3? Please tell me. Please say yes. That's all I want to hear.
He will say yes, and it will be a lie.
All right, Ryan, we'll put you in that same position. You're sitting down, you're talking to J.J. Abrams. You have the opportunity to ask him, how much of the new Star Wars film do you want to know from him directly?
To be honest, I would like to know just a little bit of casting news, like who's going to be in it, what roles they're going to be playing, and that. Other than that, that's it. I don't want to know the storyline. I don't know what else is going to be happening in the film, what's going to lead into episodes 8 and 9. I want to go into this film for the most part, not all of it, but for the most part, cold turkey. I want to see this with fresh set of eyes. I want to do that.
Okay. There's a part of me that says I want to kind of do it the same way that Ryan would. If I were to sit down and ask, I think I would probably just want to know how much of a nod is he going to give, because this is episode 7.
Yeah.
Is he going to go back and is he going to bring in, like Carrie Fisher has said, and bring back the 4 characters that we know so well, your Han Solos, your Luke Skywalkers, your Princess Leia's, your Chewbacca's? Are they going to be a major part of this, or are we just going to go, okay, here they are, now we're introducing the next generation. Thank you very much for your time. We've gone 15 minutes into the film, and you're out. That's the part that I want to know. I'm not really all that worried about the plot.
You know what? I'm actually worried that it might wind up being a little bit of a Return to Mayberry situation, where you're like, yeah, we get to see Han and all these people after all these years, and then it's just like, oh, they're all old and it's weird now.
I just hope he understands that lightsabers did not cause lens flare.
Oh, they will now.
Yeah,
they will now.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. They probably will now.
Oh my God, I can't see anything.
Ryan,
no one can fight.
Let's talk about some other things here. Actually, let's get back to you, David, on here. Either sci-fi, horror film, maybe a little bit of both in this, David. Bruce Willis, director M. Night Shyamalan, apparently teaming up, working on a third film together.
Yeah, M. Night is working on Labor of Love, which was one of his first scripts that he ever sold back in the early 90s. It has Bruce Willis playing a widower in Philadelphia who decides to fulfill a promise to his wife that he'd walk cross-country in her honor. So I'm not looking at any supernatural or science fiction-related material in that synopsis.
So basically, we're going to take the part of Forrest Gump where Forrest put on his running shoes and ran across the country, and we're going to try and make an entire film out of this?
Yep.
Sounds, yeah, well, based on the last 10 years of Shyamalan's career, I would say, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep, I agree.
Only he finds out he's in South America.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
Boy, these mountains sure are high.
He hasn't actually had a twist in a movie in like 10 years.
Everyone's wearing serapes. What's up with that?
Is this an idea from him, or is he taking this idea from a book? I mean, what do we know? Do we know anything?
This is a script he wrote in the 90s. That's all we really know yet so far.
Good grief! I hope this thing gets fleshed out more than that. This sounds a little weak so far.
I'm just mad it's not Unbreakable 2.
Is there a chance for an Unbreakable 2?
No.
I wouldn't have thought.
Well, it depends on what the character's name is, because he had a wife. Lived in Philly.
That's true.
And most of his films, let's face it, are set in Philly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like Stephen King. If you're reading a book by Stephen King, chances are it's set in Maine.
Yep.
Let's see. All right, Ryan, here we go. Another movie take on the tale of Peter Pan coming to theaters pretty soon. You know who's playing the main character. We're talking not Peter Pan necessarily. Apparently, this one's going to be a little bit more dealing with Blackbeard. Really?
Yes, sir. This one is coming from Warner Brothers. The name of the film is simply called Pan, and Hugh Jackman's going to take on the role of the pirate known as Blackbeard, the pirate that all pirates fear. And Joe Wright is directing the film along with Tron Legacy veteran Garrett Hedlund is going to take on the iconic role of Captain Hook. The motion picture is going to hit theaters everywhere on July the 17th, 2015.
All right, wheels are turning over there with Jeff. Where are you going with
Wait,
this?
Garrett Hedlund from Tron is playing Hook?
Yes.
That was like Jeff Bridges' son in Tron Legacy?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be terrible.
Yeah.
So you're not really all that thrilled about this, because I got to admit, I'm looking at Hugh Jackman and thinking, okay, Blackbeard, yeah, maybe.
I am not going to see this so hard.
Oh no, it's like it's just Daft Punk who wear full face helmets were more emotive than he was in that film.
Uh-huh.
I would agree. All right, when is this supposed to come out? Do we know?
July 17th of 2015.
Oh, they're going to put this in 2015. This thing's going to get stomped.
Oh, dig that grave deep, boys. We don't want this one coming back.
When Batman vs. Superman is moving back to 2016 to get out of the way of the elephants, and these guys are coming out.
Going to get stomped.
Oh, sweetie.
Oh, good grief. All right, back to a film that was a hit in 2013, the film The Purge. And, of course, if it's a success, Hollywood's got to make a sequel. David, you know some details about a second film in what appears to be a franchise.
Yes, sir. It's going to be called The Purge Anarchy. Once again, directed by James DeMonico. Frank Grillo is heading up the cast. It will move away from the upscale, locked-up, tight environment and into the truly dangerous corners of the society on the night of the Purge. So it's coming out June 20th this year.
So instead of looking at it from the people inside the house, we're looking at it from the viewpoint of the people outside of the house trying to get in?
No.
Sort of?
I just think it's going to be running around in like the society itself, like out in the city and the streets.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Whatnot.
Instead of concentrating on the one family that's inside of the house trying to stay away.
I don't think there's going to be a house.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying we're moving outside of a house and we're just going to look at the city as a whole and see how everyone kind of starts to react on this.
Yeah, sounds like it's going to be an incredibly violent, bloody, disturbing film. I might actually go see it now.
That one actually kind of has my interest.
See, did anyone see the first one?
And I didn't.
No, Ryan?
Never saw it.
The cool thing about this is that, if something that happens once a year for a night, you've got an instant franchise, just a different story for that.
Just a story, different year, different story. Or you could, quite frankly, you keep the same year and just go with a different story and find a different character.
Or you can go pop in your Star Trek DVDs and watch Return of the Archons.
Well, there's that. All right. Well, we finally made it because, we can't have an entertainment roundtable without having a superhero portion of the show. Well, we got a second film in the Captain America film series coming out later this year. David, we know already about a third one.
Yeah. Apparently Marvel is happy with it because it hasn't even come out yet, and they're already in talks with the writers of the movie, The Winter Soldier, Joe and Anthony Russo, to come back and do a third.
I'll be interested to see how good this one is before I say yay or nay, but from everything that I'm hearing about The Winter Soldier, this might not be a bad thing to bring him back.
It looks phenomenal.
Ryan?
For me, I think it's best not to count the chickens before they hatch, so until I see Captain America the Winter Soldier, I'm not really sure if I'm happy or angry for this.
All right. Let's move over from Captain America to his Avengers teammate Thor, hearing about some news about a third film in that franchise, David.
Yes, sir. Craig Kyle has been tapped to team up with Christopher Yost to pen Thor 3. He was one of 5 writers on Christopher Ross was one of 5 writers on Thor the Dark World. Craig Kyle is a Marvel executive, but he's had a successful writing run on the X-Men comic, X-Men Evolution TV show, and co-wrote the Ultimate Avengers animated DTV movies. So, sounds good.
Yeah? In?
Yeah, I mean, the name's familiar to me, so why not?
Okay. Ryan? Ryan, you've seen Thor 2.
He's called a complete stranger, so good.
Yeah, Ryan, you've seen Thor 2. How about Thor 3?
I'm not surprised they're going ahead with a Thor 3. I mean, they left the door open for other adventures with this particular hero, but here's the problem. Thor 2 was not quite as good as the first Thor, in my opinion, so I'm hoping that they clean up the mess, don't make some of the mistakes that they made with Thor 2, The Dark World, and Thor 3 is even more electrifying than the first two.
Okay. Interesting take on it.
My favorite thing about this story so far is I read a comment on the site that I found the story, and they said that Thor 3 sounds like Mike Tyson trying to say the word sorcery.
Thor 3. Keep that Thor 3 away from me.
One more bit, and then I think we're going to take the big story that you just came across not too long ago here, Ryan, and we'll move it to our next segment. Let's go to the X-Men franchise. And, David, you found an actor who seems to be actively politicking for a role. Who and what role are they looking for?
Channing Tatum. I'm sorry, everyone. Channing Tatum wants to play Gambit. He said, Gambit's my favorite. I'm from New Orleans, around that area. My dad's from New Orleans, and I like to do a Cajun accent. I could do it for real. Gambit was always like the woman-loving, cigarette-smoking, drinking guy. He was the punk rock of all the superheroes. He's a thief. He kind of rode the line. Now, Lauren Schuler Donner, the producer of the X-Men movies, said, I'm dying to do a Gambit movie with Channing Tatum. That doesn't have to be a great big movie. I think what she meant was it doesn't have to be a great movie.
David, yay or nay?
Oh, my God.
Yes or no?
No.
No?
No.
Jeff, yes or no?
Gambit deserves Channing Tatum.
Ryan, yes or no?
Wow. I speak for 300 million moviegoers when I say no chance in heck, and if you're going to make a Gambit film, bring in the original actor Taylor Kitsch. He did a good job, even though the movie may not have been as good.
Taylor Kitsch played the original Gambit in the first X-Men that I remember?
No, in Wolverine Origins or whatever that was.
X-Men Origins, full of crap, Wolverine, terrible movie film.
I was going back to X2. I mean, who was the guy that played, oh gosh, maybe I'm thinking of a different character all of a sudden. But here was the best thing that I was going to say about this. Even if it is Channing Tatum, at least it's not Taylor Kitsch. Because I'm sorry, I have not been impressed with anything I've ever seen Taylor Kitsch in.
Yeah, me either, really.
John Carter. That said, I didn't see his portrayal of Gambit.
Well, the thing is, I like the character of Gambit up until about the mid-'90s. So I would actually like to see someone good play him, but that's not going to happen with Fox. Yeah. They're not going to do anything I like. I'm just
all right. Well,
relegated
I don't
to
know.
that.
This, it seems a little sketchy to me, but I don't know. We'll see what the future holds. From that, we will go from Marvel to DC when we come back here on the Entertainment Roundtable.
Hope you got your popcorn, because we're back to the Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days.
I'd ask anybody what the name of the show was that this came from, but I think we kind of get it.
Laverne and Shirley.
That's it. We will be talking about one of the characters that played on the show Happy Days here in just a few moments. Apparently ABC likes him, and they're bringing him back to television. But first, let's remain with the movies for one more story here. And Ryan, Friday, you came up with some information here, and you said that DC Comics, more news, specifically surrounding casting for the new Batman Superman film. What do we know? And let me ask this first. Is this a rumor, or is this confirmed?
No, this is actually confirmed. This came from the people who run DC and WB.
Okay, what do we know?
We know that for the Man of Steel 2, the sequel, they have officially cast Jesse Eisenberg to take on the role of Lex Luthor and Jeremy Irons to take on the role of Alfred Pennyworth, Bruce Wayne's butler, in Man of Steel 2.
Okay, let's go here. David, your thoughts on the casting?
Jeremy Irons, I don't know. I guess that's fine.
Okay.
As far as Jesse Eisenberg, that's a weird casting choice. I
Seems
actually
like
wish
they're
it
going
was
for a
Joaquin
very
Phoenix a little more.
Seems like they're kind of going with a real young version of Lex Luthor this time, as opposed to like when we had Gene Hackman versus Christopher Reeve, somewhat older than Christopher Reeve, and then we saw a couple of movies ago, and the film that I wasn't really all that big on, when they brought Superman Returns, and they had Kevin Spacey. He was significantly older than the actor that was playing the character of Superman. This time around, maybe they're going to be contemporary ages. Jeff, your thoughts?
You know, I don't have a problem with it, to be honest with you. I mean, I think
either one.
I think, especially not Jeremy Irons. Come on, Jeremy.
Yeah. I mean, what?
Jeremy Irons. Yes.
Jeremy Irons.
Yes, Bruce.
I think I agree with you on this. I think Jeremy Irons,
like Michael Caine did
right,
in every scene.
I think Jeremy Irons is going to be a very, very good Alfred. So I have no problem with that.
Right. I can see him as ex-military, just that hard case Alfred that Michael Caine was
just
not.
Sobbing.
Right. I don't have a problem with Eisenberg. I can sort of. I think I see where they're going with it.
Okay.
This guy, sort of unimposing. So that's maybe one of his strengths, that you don't expect him to be so dangerous. So
okay.
I can see that. I don't see why not.
All right. Eisenberg wouldn't have been my first thought, but I don't have a major problem with it. Ryan, on the other hand, I understand you're not thrilled with that at all.
No, as far as this casting goes, Jeremy Irons as Alfred, no problem. That guy can play any role. He disappears into it, and he is one of the greatest actors in the world today. Jeremy Irons as Alfred, no problem. Jesse Eisenberg, on the other hand, we got a lot of problems, and I'll tell you why. Jesse, you're too young. You have a baby face. You don't have the right look. You don't have the right dramatic acting chops to play this kind of a role. This is iconic business we're talking here. This is Lex Luthor, one of the most iconic villains of all time. And you're going to stick a 30-year-old kid, a 30-year-old baby-faced kid in this role. You want to go somewhere old? You get Billy Zane. You want someone young like Henry Cavill is, with all due respect? Get people like Paul Wesley. Get the guy who plays John on the Tomorrow People, or Stephen Amell, Robbie Amell's cousin. Get people like him. Get people like, oh gosh, what was the actor I was thinking of that could play this role really well? What was it? Paul Wesley, Robbie Amell, basically somebody who is not Jesse. Here you go. Break one of your own rules and bring back Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville to play this role. He could do it a lot more justice than Jesse Eisenberg could.
Now, hold on. The cold calculating figure that we saw him play in The Social Network, I think could work really, really well for Lex Luthor.
Showing no emotions whatsoever and just being cold and business.
Sort of heartless.
Hate,
jealous of Superman. Like, he's built himself up,
If he can recapture that, he might be able to pull that off.
I think he might be able to do it. I think the weakness is not going to be in Eisenberg. It's going to be in David S. Goyer and Zack Snyder.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll be interested to see. And this thing's 2016, correct?
May 6th, 2016, yeah.
All right, here we go. Coming out on Blu-ray and DVD for you to be able to take home if you choose next Tuesday. Several films, actually. A film called About Time, Dallas Buyers Club, been getting a whole lot of award buzz here. That comes out. Escape Plan. The animated Freebirds and the animated Justice League War all coming out on DVD.
Exciting.
And if you are a TV show collector, you could consider 2 TV shows who I have never heard of. One is called The White Queen. That's only in season 1. And I've never heard of this. I think it's British, but I'm not positive of that. It's called Midsummer Murder, spelled Midsomer. This is season 23.
Crickets.
That's pretty much what I was expecting. Nobody knows about this show, and it's in season 23.
Got to be a British show. It's like Doctor Who. Nobody cares about that baloney.
There we go.
Talk about a mid-season murder.
We'll let David stew on that while we turn to Ryan kicking off TV news with the Fox Network. Got some news about one of their longer-running dramas. Give us the news that they've got concerning the show Bones.
Yes, they've officially decided to renew Bones for a 10th record-breaking season.
My wife
and
is
also
happy.
they're going to move it back to Mondays at 8, 7 Central on March the 10th, a little bit later on this year. And it also means they are going to hit a huge milestone, which is their 200th episode.
My wife is thrilled. She loves this show.
At least one of us does.
Yeah. We'll stay with Fox here. The show that just ended their season, Sleepy Hollow, got a man who we now know is a bad guy. The character played by John Noble. What do we know about his future, David?
Yeah, he is being upgraded from recurring character in Fox's Sleepy Hollow to full-time cast member, as is actress Lindy Greenwood as Jenny Mills, the sister of protagonist Abby Mills.
Oh, man, spoiler alert.
Dying.
Yeah, really. All right, let's move over to ABC here. David, we'll start off with the Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show.
Oh, we're starting off with that, huh?
Yeah. Seems to tease us with its potential and then kind of lets us down. But they're promising big things by season's end. What's the promise?
Yeah, they responded to the complaints about the too many standalone episodes and the large disconnect from the larger Marvel universe and the disconnect from the comics.
Wow, they listened.
They assure us that
they assure us.
Yeah, we're gonna get Deathlock, we're gonna get Lady Sif, Lorelei, Stan Lee, a bunch of other comic book characters coming in, and they said that the standalone episodes have a big payoff. This all leading up to the end of the season. Series lead Greg Clark also defended the ratings pattern of the series, which has received scrutiny for dropping off after a series premiere, but he says, we care about the live audience, but the live +7 numbers are ridiculous. If you pause the show to go pee, you move to the live +3 or live +7. He says, I personally don't know a lot of people who aren't watching television that way. If you look at how well our show is doing in those numbers, I'm quite encouraged.
I will admit, I'm one of those people that's the TV live +7. I DVR it, and then I watch it later.
Yeah.
But I just that close to being done. So they're going to have to step this thing up, and they're going to have to step it up quick. That's my take on it,
Well,
Jeff.
one of them actually said that it's a lot like how you eat all your vegetables to get to your dessert, and they said they're knee-deep in the dessert.
Jeff?
Okay. I'm sticking through the season, so we'll see if they nail the landing. That's great. By the way, was there a new episode this week?
No, there wasn't.
I don't think
Thank
so,
God.
no.
Okay.
There wasn't because
wait, I was saying thank God like, oh no, I might have missed it.
Yeah. our president stood up and gave a State of the Union
That's
address.
right. See, I was here, and
which we also missed because we were here doing live wall-to-wall snow coverage. Yeah, okay, so I've given my opinion. Are you still watching, David?
Yeah, I will watch it for as long as it's on the air because I'm a completist. It's canon with the Marvel movies. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to take the ride no matter what.
Ryan?
I've seen a lot worse shows for a lot longer.
Ryan?
I will watch the few episodes that they're going to have with, Bill Paxton, and then Lady Sif is going to come on board for that one episode. And then I think after that, I'm pretty much done. This show has done so bad, so fast. No question about it. Arrow has an idea. They know what they're doing clearly. Marvel, as far as their TV projects are concerned, they have no idea what they're doing. They got to work harder.
Let me ask this. If this show steps up, will it bring you back?
I mean, the Lady Sif episode, yeah, but if that episode that comes after that is terrible, I'm done.
I don't think the show's worse than Arrow. I mean, Arrow, they're both about neck and neck for me.
No, they're not. Arrow,
Neither one of them are Blacklist, so, I mean...
I'm not going to argue that.
Oh, the Blacklist is awesome. Are you kidding me?
So, okay. Well, again, I'm close. They're gonna have to come up. They're gonna have to come up. All right, David, we're gonna stay with ABC, bringing back the guy who played the Fonz to television in the Alphabet Network, a show from the producers of Everybody Loves Raymond. What are the details of this proposed show?
Yeah, Henry Winkler is set to star in a comedy pilot based on his real-life relationship with his son-in-law. Winkler's son, Max, will serve as the executive producer, along with the Everybody Loves Raymond's Phil Rosenthal and New Girl's Jake Johnson.
So this is based upon real life?
Apparently, but I'm not going to watch it, so hey.
Anybody interested at all?
No.
Nope.
I'll watch the premiere episode just because of the fact that I'll be doing my due duty for this particular show and giving it a rating. So I'll do my due diligence, but I'm not really convinced that I'll be sticking around.
I mean, I'll be open to seeing a trailer.
Gotcha. From that comedy to a comedy over on NBC, David, we've got word that they have canceled one of their freshman underperforming comedies. Which one?
Sean Saves the World.
See ya.
Yep, it's gone.
I have no problem with this. I will not shed a tear over it.
Me either.
I saw the premiere episode. It was very bad. All right, speaking of comedies, and one of the biggest hits NBC ever had in its history of airing comedies, Seinfeld. Creator Larry David continues to talk about the possibility of a reunion. What's going on with that, David?
Well, Jerry Seinfeld confirmed that they shot a shortish Seinfeld reunion. He said it's longer than a minute, but it's still shortish.
It's longer than a minute.
It includes Jason Alexander as George Costanza, and it was shot at Tom's Restaurant as well as a bunch of other locations, not including Jerry's apartment. As to what it's for, he said, we'll see very, very soon. I'm actually excited about that.
There have been casts that have been out there that have said, you know what, there's no way we're ever going to do a reunion. And I want to say at some point in time, I heard one of the characters, and possibly very well could have been Jerry Seinfeld himself, who said there's no way we're ever going to go back to this.
No, it was Larry. But Larry said that every season he was going to leave, and then he would come back.
And he'd come back.
He finally did leave, but, around season 7, I think.
I know. I'll be interested to see where this goes because, again, it's Seinfeld. I really enjoyed Seinfeld when it was on the air, but this is now what? More than a decade after the fact.
Well, they just did, like a couple of years ago, the Curb Your Enthusiasm season 7, which was all based around them doing a fictitious Seinfeld reunion. And we actually got a fair amount of a quote-unquote Seinfeld reunion.
Yeah, they kind of came in and went out different times.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, we'll see. To the CW network, we were talking about Arrow a little while ago. Word of 2 new shows, David, one of which is a spin-off of one of their successes, and then you got the other one from the creator of Veronica Mars. Where are they going?
Well, I haven't, let's see, they have iZombie, which is done by the guy from Veronica Mars. It was based on a Vertigo comic book by Chris Robertson and Michael Allred. They claim it's a high concept property, but hey, it's about a medical student who becomes a zombie and takes a job at the coroner's office because of the easy access to brains. When she eats the brains, she gets the memories of the deceased, leading her to work with a medical examiner and a detective to solve homicides. So we got that. That's called
iZombie.
That's called iZombie. Yeah.
iZombie.
Someone lost an eye and it's still alive out there?
Well, and the other thing I want to know of is if we does this person have a tattoo on their back or on their arm that's like the little apple symbol? Because sooner or later we're going to have to give credit for them for all the eye stuff that we got out there. When is this thing supposed to hit?
I guess next year.
Probably next year. All right, what's the other one?
The other one was I just saw the title, but I can't remember it. I didn't write it down for whatever reason. It's a Supernatural spinoff, and I hate that show. But they they also announced two other pilots though, and I did write those down. Would you like the information on those?
Sure, why not? Bring 'em.
Okay. Identity, which focuses on a young woman in need of a transplant who discovers that she's related to a powerful family. First, she learns her son could provide her with a donor organ. Then she learns that the CIA is investigating the family's ties to domestic terrorism and wants her to spy on them. And then they have one coming out. Oh, by the way, Identity is produced by Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orsi.
Hey, shocking.
Yeah.
They're like on half the shows on television right now.
And they're also producing Jane the Virgin, which is based on a Venezuelan telenovela and focused on a religious young Latina who was somehow accidentally artificially inseminated. So those both were way more interesting to me, to me than the Supernatural spinoff.
I wonder if she knows the Virgin Connie swell.
See, I was about to start and take two different things and smash them together. The Flying Virgin Mary. Any interest in any of these? Anybody? Ryan?
I really don't care.
I won't see it, but just knowing they exist makes me happy for some reason.
Let's go over to cable here to the AMC network. They've seen the end of their big hit Breaking Bad. They're getting set to kick off a prequel. It's going to be titled Better Call Saul. They've got some casting news.
Yeah, Breaking Bad's Jonathan Banks has been set for AMC's forthcoming prequel Better Call Saul, in which he will join Bob Odenkirk as a series regular. Now, he's doing a great job on Community, by the way, right now.
Now, you were a big fan of Breaking Bad, Jeff.
I was.
I'll
give it a shot. Why not?
All right. I'd be interested to see what you think about it, because I think you're the only one that was into Breaking Bad here on the show. Am I correct about that, Ryan? You weren't into it.
No, I wasn't.
And
I'll eventually see it.
You will eventually see it. Okay. All right. Wow. Hard to believe that this hour has flown by so fast. Ryan, where can we find you online if we got more questions and we want you to flesh out some of this news a little bit more?
Go to facebook.com/TheRPM Show, or you can find me at Facebook at Ryan Matthews.
And you're also online, are you not, Dave?
Yes, sir. I make comedy sketches and weird web series. You can go and check it out at maladjusted.tv. If it was a candy, it would be like that weird candy that you get at Halloween that you don't really like to eat.
It'd be that prune candy that we were looking for earlier. David, Ryan, Jeff, thank you all very, very much, and I hope you all enjoy your weekend.
Well, thank you. Have yourself a good weekend. Don't work too hard, boys.
Never do. Jeff, thank you so much for producing so early in the morning.
You got it, brother.
And we'll see you all later on this week, unless you are sticking around for the next hour when Dustin and I get into the fastest hour in radio right here on Superstation 101 WIDE.